Welcome back to the Sports Show with Woody and Les and everyone else. One of the everyone else's today is Nick Groke of the Denver Post. He was at the fight this weekend, Mayweather-Pacquiao. And before we talk about the fight itself...
Oh, I thought you were good. Before you talk about the fight, you want to talk about he was also with the Rockies on the road trip.
We'll talk about that at the end. The Rockies at the end. Just set the scene for us. Tell us what it was like just being in Vegas over the weekend.
It was completely... It's always a circus for big title fights. This one was on a whole other level. Whatever ring, how many ever rings a circus can hold, it had. It was crowded everywhere. Everybody was a little bit on edge, a little bit ticked off. Cab drivers were the most aggro I've ever seen them.
Yeah.
They were all mad
Lousy
about
tips.
something. Exactly. Yeah, whatever. And but it was fun. There's definitely a buzz. Whenever there's a title fight, as you all probably know, there's a buzz. And then, so whatever buzz normally comes from a title fight, this was buzz with like multiple Z's.
Buzz 2.0.
Buzz.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was fun.
Pablo Torres, who writes for Sports Illustrated, was also at the fight. He said he was in the men's bathroom before the fight, and standing right next to him, which would be at the urinal, was Sting. And he said that kind of made his whole day, that he couldn't really do what he was in there to do because he was so excited about that. And he said what he thought was funny was that before the fight, because, and I'm sure you've been to MGM, it's an arena, so there's that hallway that goes in. He said it was just packed with celebrities who really had nowhere to go because you're led from the casino back there to the arena.
Yeah, there are no suites at the MGM Grand, so everybody sits where everybody sits. And the kind of nearish me, Louis C.K. was sitting next to the Jonas Brothers, which is really weird. But
not as weird as the Burger King mascot. Pacquiao. Or Mayweather. Yeah.
I tell you what, he could have probably fought a better fight.
Pacquiao. He was bobbing and weaving on the way, and the Burger King man has some moves, I think.
Yeah,
but
Jimmy Kimmel was too. He was kind of bouncing through there. Yeah, the atmosphere.
Weird scene.
The fight didn't live up to the atmosphere, though. But you've seen Mayweather. People didn't realize this is. I mean, the people just tuning in because of the hysteria around the fight, and they go, Mayweather. He thinks he's in Rocky Marciano's range. But he plays defense. That's what wins Super Bowls, and that's what.
Well, they do call it the sweet science, and he's as scientific as it gets when it comes to this.
He's no idiot. I mean, his goal is to not get hit.
Yeah.
And he doesn't get hit. Yeah. And that's how he wins, and he wins so easily.
And when you punch him and you don't hit him, he can counter punch then, and he'll get in enough shots to impress the judge.
Right. So when you have a whole bunch of people tuning in who maybe aren't familiar with him or real familiar with boxing, expecting some knock him down, drag him out showdown, that's not what you get with Floyd Mayweather, because he's so good at not doing that and not engaging in that, and that's what we saw. I think that was some of the frustration that people had with watching the fight.
You think you'd get more of a fight like that in the heavyweight division, that in the welterweight type classes, to have a Sugar Ray Leonard against a Duran, first fight, not the second one, but the Hearns Hagler, Sugar Ray Leonard against Hagler was a big fight.
Roberto Duran against anybody.
Yeah. That you just don't get, the same sort. I think people who are interested in the fight game are not getting the action they wanted.
No, exactly. And Manny Pacquiao's fought Juan Manuel Marquez 4 times. When they made the 4th fight, people said, "Why are we watching another Pacquiao Marquez fight?" Because those fights are great.
Yeah.
They go at each other, and Marquez is a counterpuncher, so he's a defensive minded fighter too. But he engages, and they go at it, and those fights are amazing. All 4 of those fights are amazing. And, that's what you want. That's what you get in a fight when 2 guys go at it. It's not necessarily the best strategy if you're a boxer. I mean, Mayweather has a great strategy. It just doesn't always make for a real exciting fight. Although when people came and asked me, or said to me, "Well, I'm never watching boxing again." I got ripped off on this. Well, to me, Broncos Seahawks was just as big a dud as Super Bowl.
But nobody said they were never watching football.
No, right, exactly. Stuff happens on occasion especially when the 2 best teams or 2 best fighters go at it. You can't always guarantee that it's going to be a full-on action.
Well,
brawl.
let me give you a suppose then, and he's not going to do it. I mean, we talked about the Pacquiao, that if Mayweather fought Triple G, would people tune back in? Would
Sure
they
they
pay
would.
$100 to see that if they're a casual?
I don't know about
fan?
100, but they might pay 50.
And he's not going to fight him, but I mean,
They're too far apart in weight class, but yeah, people would watch that. I think people, Golovkin, Gennady Golovkin is a headhunter, and I think people, because Floyd Mayweather is so good at playing the heel, people want to see him get knocked down or knocked out. And Golovkin is one of the best knockout punchers going right now. But
was it true us watching on TV that was totally, because Mayweather kept saying, "This is my home court, this is my home arena," and he was booed unmercifully at the end. And Pacquiao, every time Pacquiao, people thought he got a punch in, and there were only a few actually got in, that the crowd erupted. Was it as predominantly Pacquiao there as it was seemingly watching it?
Having not seen it on TV, I can say probably that it was even more so. The weigh-in on Friday and the fight were very pro Pacquiao. I was a little bit surprised actually because Mayweather is such a draw. He's responsible
But
for
Nick,
the biggest.
you know what's happened over in the week leading up. All the stories about Mayweather started to come out in all of their gory detail.
Right, exactly.
And a lot of people turned against him. Those who didn't know turned against him. Those who did know and read the extent of what he had done from a domestic abuse standpoint.
8 cases, wasn't it?
Yeah, as many as 9. Convicted on 3, went to jail for 1.
Mm-hmm.
That's why the crowd turned on him.
And true. Although the things that came out aren't new things. People know that he's not a good person. So there's nothing
Mike
hugely
Tyson
surprising.
wasn't a good person. I mean,
He's still-
there have been a lot of fighters that weren't good people. Ron Lau from Colorado he became a good person, but he murdered somebody in prison.
It certainly doesn't seem to diminish his fan base, which is why it was a little bit surprising that Pacquiao. But Pacquiao, on the other hand, also has a huge fan base. So it's not. I mean, around town, I saw a lot more TMT T-shirts than Pacquiao T-shirts. I could say that. But at the fight alone, it was definitely pro Pacquiao, and it got to be, it was a weird kind of crowd. It was a Super Bowl crowd. It was tense but quiet. It was the most quiet big fight that I've ever been to. And it made it very strange, but when the action kicked up, it was definitely pro Pacquiao. The Manny chants were definitely louder than the money chants, and it's something that I think
Manny
Mayweather probably
versus
plays
money.
up to a little bit.
Nick, really appreciate your time. I know it was a long weekend for you. You were in Vegas. You were probably up till 5 in the morning every night.
Last night.
But appreciate you coming by and giving us your perspective.
Awesome. Thank
Nick
you very
Groke
much.
of the Denver Post, and that first segment brought to you by the Harmony Foundation. It's Colorado's premier treatment program for drug and alcohol addiction. It's located just outside of Estes Park on a very nice, very private 45-acre mountain campus. It is insurance friendly. So if you have a problem or you know somebody that does have a problem, you should visit harmonyfoundationinc.com.